It's week 16 of my Summer with Lisa Kleypas challenge, and this week we are doing Devil's Daughter. Hi, my name's Bea. Welcome to my channel. Mama needs to read romance, because nobody in this book is going to get pink eye and then decide to share a pirate telescope with his brother and sister. You better believe that telescope disappeared. We are in book 5 of the Ravenels series, and it's another Wallflowers Meet the Ravenels. When I first read this, I had no idea who the Wallflowers were, so when we get to meet all of them again at Pandora and Gabriel's wedding, that's right, there's a wedding in this book. I had no idea how special their reunion actually was, and I am giddy. That's right, giddy. Over getting to see all 4 of the Wallflower gals again. I cannot wait. Without further ado, let's take a look at this step back and meet our lovely couple. We've got Phoebe Lady Claire, who is Evie and Sebastian's daughter, and West Ravenel, who I think is actually more tan in real life because he spends so much time outdoors farming. I adore West Ravenel. He reminds me of Leo Hathaway from the Hathaways series. He's so humorous and good-hearted. It is time for him to find the lady love of his life, and Phoebe, she is very sweet. She is a widow. Her husband passed away after having battled an illness for practically his entire life. She's a single mom. She's got 2 young boys. They are sweet as all get out. A 4-year-old named Justin and a 1-year-old named Steven. In the last book, Hello Stranger, West was a hero. He helped Garrett, the doctor, with a blood transfusion, with an operation, and then he actually fights multiple bad guys at the end of the story. And honestly, it is time for West to settle down and find his love, and I cannot wait for Phoebe to find true all-encompassing rapture with this great guy. So I'm really looking forward to reading this book this week, to falling in love all over again with both of them, and of course that wedding. After this part, there are going to be spoilers. I'm also going to give this book a rating at the end and tell you what song I believe is Phoebe and West's love theme. So without further ado, let's get going. There's going to be a wedding. Oh my gosh, chapters 1 through 4. We are starting out big. It is so exciting. We're at Eversby Priory. The Chalons are arriving in their carriages. It is fabulous. It's all of Evie and Sebastian's brood. They're coming for Gabriel and Pandora's wedding. It's so exciting. And we have, everybody's there. Everybody's there except for Raphael. It's the only Evie and Sebastian child that's not there. And it makes me wonder, can I make a prediction? Devil in Disguise, the book that's the last one in the series, because Devil always has a Sebastian child or Sebastian himself in there. I think Raphael's going to come, and I think he's going to be with Merritt, who is Lillian and Marcus's daughter. That's my prediction. I have no idea. I won't look because I want to be surprised. But I don't know. I'm just wondering. Anyway, back to this book. Everyone is arriving, and Phoebe has her 2 sons, Justin and Steven. Steven is a baby, and Justin is 4 years old. Phoebe is a single mom. This is her first event that she's been to since she's stopped mourning because her husband passed away, Henry. He was very ill for all of their lives, but they were childhood sweethearts, and so she loved him, and she knew he wasn't going to live very long, but she wanted to marry him, and they had 2 sons together before he passed on, and it was a beautiful marriage. But she actually doesn't know what to do with the feelings that she feels when she meets West for the first time, because she's not used to feeling like an attraction. Like with her husband, it was more like cute and giggly, and all of a sudden she feels like an intense attraction for West before she realizes it's West. And then once she figures out that it's West, she is very unhappy because West was Henry, her late husband's bully for years at boarding school. And so she hates West. Of course, West likes her. He thinks she's gorgeous and he doesn't think he has a chance with her, but he doesn't understand that the reason that she's upset. He has no idea that she thinks of him as Henry's bully. Now, Gabriel even goes to defend West and says, you know what, we had such great childhood, so did Henry, but the Ravenel boys, they came up with nothing. They were orphaned, Devin and West were. They had no money, they had no home, they were just shoved into boarding school, they were miserable, And they took it out on kids by pranking them and not even doing anything too serious. But Phoebe's not ready to let that go. But I have to say some other really exciting things. We see Evie, of course, and Sebastian, who again are totally showing that they love each other. A little bit of PDA before Evie says she has to go rush off to see the West Cliffs. I'm so excited. We haven't seen Lillian yet, but we're going to. I don't think we've seen Lillian since maybe the first Hathaway's book. And Marcus was in Pandora and Gabriel's book, Devil in Spring. He was the one that was trying to help Gabriel get out of potentially being betrothed to Pandora, if you remember. But it's been a long time since we've seen Lillian, so that's going to be really exciting. We also see Tom Severin, who just showed up to crash the party because he says London is boring. And West is so unhappy with him still. There's quite the grudge since Severin, tried to basically cheat them out of millions of pounds, aka dollars, of special minerals that he found on the Ravenel property. So anyway, not good blood going on there, but Wes is going to let him attend the wedding just because Pandora has allowed it. She's just so happy. She and Gabriel are such a perfect pair, and I'm so excited for this wedding and to see more people come. But that is pretty much, I think, where we are at this point. So let's roll on chapter 5. It's time for dinner, and Phoebe is going to be beautiful. Her maid has helped her become gorgeous, and Phoebe feels a little bit weird about it because it's like a shimmery champagne colored gown, and she's just come out of half mourning, and she just doesn't feel ready. But talking to Merritt, who is Lillian and Marcus's daughter, who we will see in Devil in Disguise, she gets her own book. She really helps Phoebe feel better about coming out of mourning, and she actually makes her feel better about West too, and how he's grown and changed. So that's really nice. Dogs barking in the neighborhood. Also, interestingly, Merritt is engaged, which I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting for her book later. Lord Foxhall, Merritt's brother, who is affectionately called Fox by all of his close friends and family, escorts Phoebe into dinner. Good night. What the heck was that? And she winds up, though, sitting next to Wes, which is, at first, she is so upset by. And Gabriel actually offers to save her. But, oh, it's sprinklers turning on. I was like, what is that? Anyway, Gabriel offers to save her, but then she just says no, that she's not going to need it. And I'm so glad she doesn't, because she and West have a lovely time. They really connect, and he is so charming and witty and self-effacing, and she just can't help but start to fall for him maybe a little bit. And some of his comments are a little suggestive, but I think she handles it really well, and I think that they have such a lovely evening. But the next morning, he is just feeling randy, honestly. Let's be frank. He hasn't been with a lady in a very long time, and I think the feelings he's had about Phoebe have really stirred things up for him. So he is just not in a good mood at all. But he and Devin are working together to make sure all the last minute things are prepared for the wedding, so that's good. The wedding is beautiful. Gabriel can't even wait to kiss Pandora after she comes down the aisle. He looks so emotional, and then he kisses the top of her temple, and it's just so sweet, and I just love it so much. It's such a beautiful wedding, and I just love it. West also proceeds to have several more beautiful encounters with her older son Justin, pretending that there's an actual horse in the house when he sees a hobby horse. And then at some point Justin jumps on his back and he's like, do I have something on my shirt? It's just so cute. And Phoebe goes on a walk with Sebastian and Justin. Of course, Sebastian keeps Justin sort of off to the side so Phoebe can have some alone time with West. But she's so impressed by his understanding of farming, and she's really rethinking an initial conversation that they had where he makes her question how much she's keeping her hands off of their land. I mean, there's a lot of land that's going to go to her son, and I mean, obviously, again, like, she can't own land, but she has a property manager dealing with everything, and it's not going well, and she feels badly even asking about it. So Wes is trying to get her to take more of an active role, and I think she's starting to get convinced that he knows what he's doing, and he has many people who love him. But as the end of chapter 10 happens, Justin has followed a cat into a cow pasture, and there's a crazy bull, and it's gunning for Justin. So this is kind of scary. Let's see what happens in chapter 11. Welcome to mess. Oh my 5-year-old had oral surgery today, so I'm trying to stay close to him in case he needs me. But I wanted to film this really quickly, chapters 11 through 14, before I forget. Oh my gosh, so insanely good. So as you may remember from just a moment ago, West was in the paddock with the bull and Justin. Sebastian runs in, grabs Justin, while West creates the diversion. Then Sebastian says, "What do you need me to do?" And he goes, "Get the hell out of here." So he does. I love how Sebastian was still trying to help. He's so wonderful. He's just the best. Anyway, West winds up injuring himself on a nail in the gate, which is just, I have issues with like blood and things, which was fun today with the oral surgery. But the nail in the gate is just like, oh, that sounds really awful. So Phoebe definitely wants to show him her appreciation. She goes to try to take care of him, which he's kind of belligerent about, right away. And then later on, she goes up to see how he's doing, and he is shirtless, getting himself cleaned up. And she says, "What can I do to thank you?" And he goes, "You can let me apologize." And he gives her a book that she gave to Henry when Henry was in school. The book meant at least as much to West as it did to Henry. He knew exactly how many kisses she had placed on the pages that she loved. He had memorized the whole thing. And she realized he was just this poor little boy that nobody loved, nobody wanted, and he was jealous of Henry and all the love and attention he got. And West actually meant to give the book back before Henry left. There goes one of my friends. Anyway, hello. Then West kisses Phoebe. They both, she drops, so Phoebe drops the book. This is about a game, by the way. His dad's gonna help him.
Stay away from me.
Anyway, Phoebe drops the book. They both bend down to get it, and then they wind up kind of in an embrace. He kisses her, and she says it was nice. He's like, it has to be better than nice. West says that nice is not good enough, so he gives her the most passionate kiss ever. I don't think she's ever been French kissed before, so she's very surprised. But it was a really great kiss. Oh my gosh, very passionate. Lisa Kleypas writes that West kissed like he had lived too fast, learned too late, and was just realizing what he wanted, which I thought was pretty neat. So Phoebe then leaves after the kiss, and she says, "We can't do that anymore," and he nods his head in agreement. He understands, but then he kisses her palm super ardently. Oh, I love that so much. I love a good palm kiss. It's my kryptonite. It's my kryptonite. If somebody were to tell me that they knew of a palm kiss in pretty much any book, I'd be like, all right, I'm writing that on my TBR. It's terrible. Anyway, so Phoebe leaves before she can't. Is something that is said, something like that. Then we cut to Evie. She's having a picnic with Daisy, Annabelle, and Lillian, the 3 other Wallflowers, the original gals. I loved hearing about this picnic. I actually got goosebumps knowing they were all together. Daisy is a celebrated author. Lillian has 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls, who are mainly, I guess, early adults at this point, or maybe late adolescent. And then, of course, there's Annabelle, who's just, I guess, living her best life, married to Simon. I don't think I heard anything specific about Annabelle. But I'll tell you what, I just about died. Mary Jane Wells, come on, Miss Narrator. She had Lillian and Daisy using a British accent, which after all the American accents I've heard from Rosalind Landor and Mary Jane Wells in various books, now they're British, apparently. This is worse than when Mary J. Wells did Matthew Swift as an Irishman in Wallflower Christmas. I tell ya. But I guess she does so many books as a narrator, she just can't keep everybody straight. I understand, but still. Lillian and Daisy with a British accent? Ugh. Anyway. But Sebastian seduces Evie as he's taking a bath. It is just so charming and sweet, and I just loved every minute of it. I loved it. I'm so happy to see that they're still together and madly in love more than 30 years later, and that the fire still burns. How wonderful. Chapters 15 through 19. I don't even really know what to say. There's a lot about a cat named Galoshes who's totally in love with Phoebe, and it tries to leave with the Shalons when they leave. Man, there is some craziness going on. A lot of conversation about her land, Phoebe's land, and West trying to convince her to take more ownership. He also discovers that before Henry died, he made her promise to marry his cousin Edward, who is in charge of the lands. And this guy apparently is super stuck up. He doesn't even want to talk to the tenant farmers. He is just not interested in doing anything a new way. And Wes is really unhappy, especially when he finds out that Phoebe's supposed to marry Edward. They have a very steamy encounter in the library, I believe, or the study, wherever they're going over land documents initially. And he pleasures her in a way that she's never experienced before. And it, because with Henry, they were always, more like sweet. But it's more carnal, I think, with West. So anyway, unfortunately, though, right after that, he becomes a huge jerk and tells her that he was only doing that to teach her that she still has those desires, because she had been saying that she didn't anymore. And he's like, see, I showed you, you learned your lesson, you still have those desires. And he apologizes before she leaves, but it's like too little too late. Though he sees a chance to see her one more time before they're so far away, he takes the cat, who's really missing Phoebe, puts it in a basket, and delivers it on the train when they arrive at one of the stations. He rides as fast as he can on horseback, and she sees him as he dips his hat to her from the train station. They lock eyes until she travels all the way away. But it's like just insane. Happy first day of fall! By the way, it is my Summer of Lisa Kleypas challenge, and now we're in the first day of fall, so we're just kind of rolling with it. I got these lights at the Dollar Tree, and one of the pumpkins fell off. As you can tell, I'm gonna have to find that pumpkin. Hopefully it's in the house. And I'm trying to figure out what to do about this. I don't know how noticeable that wire is. Anyway, okay. Moving on, chapters 20 through 22. West is going to redeem himself. I have a strong feeling. We spend a lot of time back at home with Lady Claire. She's talking to Edward, who is absolutely wanting to court her officially. He keeps giving her little kisses that don't really feel like anything to her. She wants them to feel like something, but they don't. She keeps harassing him, basically at this point, to try to get the account ledgers for the land, and he continues to forget and continues to forget. It's been 3 months since she started asking. So she's pretty frustrated. He leaves and takes her mother-in-law, I guess it's still her mother-in-law, her dead husband's mother, abroad. And so she's very excited because her mother-in-law is kind of a stick in the mud, and Edward is also not really willing to let her do whatever she wants. So she's very excited to have the house all to herself with her boys and of course the servants. And she immediately sends a letter to request for West's support in helping her go through the ledgers. The first thing she did, by the way, after seeing her boyfriend and mother-in-law off, was to run over to his office and grab all the ledgers. So now she's got them, but she needs West to help her analyze them. So she sends him a note to ask him, and the following day he arrives. He's kind of thinner because he's been working in the fields for a couple weeks. He's got a beard, and she actually finds it very nice. He admits to her that
he has not been able to put her out of his mind because she was afraid that he didn't even really care for her. But she lets him know right away that she's interested by laying a big one on him. And it's hot, but then he looks at her like, we can't do that again. And she says to herself, if I can't have all of you, I'll just take what I can get. Oh, and by the way, he is just so dear with her boys yet again. It's not even just playing this time. He's brought gifts for them from Winterborn's. Winterborn opened the store for him after hours so he could pick out toys for the boys, which I thought was so sweet. And also, in other news, Garrett and Ethan are going to be getting married, the couple from Hello Stranger, and West is going to be the best man. How incredibly exciting. Fall is in the air. It's amazing. Chapters 23 through 27. Oh man, what a couple chapters. I think some of them just about melt my phone while I was listening. Holy cow. So we'll start with some of my favorite stuff. West has a great conversation with Ethan Ransom, and they just talk about marriage and babies and how Ethan said that, you know, since Garrett saved him, he's going to do whatever she wants for the rest of his life. And, you know, they're getting married and they're going to have children together. And it just sounds so much fun and wonderful. And of course, Wes doesn't feel like he can ever settle down. And he doesn't want to be with Phoebe because he feels like he's not good enough for her. And that her sons would have to live him down as opposed to him bringing up their stock. He would be reducing it. So there's that. There's also a very interesting conversation that West has with Phoebe. Now, initially, he's trying to be really level-headed and fair-minded and say, well, some of these numbers might not be adding up in the account ledgers that Edward was working on because maybe Edward was doing the wrong thing but for the right reasons, because it was pretty clear that this was intentional, some of the numbers that were wrong. But as they're studying more and more, they realize there was a huge amount of money taken from one of Phoebe's son's trust fund and used to spend on improvements for the land, which didn't do anything. That was not true. And there's like a huge amount of interest on it. And if Edward had borrowed from the bank, it would have been far less interest. So there's some shady stuff going on. And there's also a very bizarre, see, there's still mosquitoes even though it's cooler out. There's a bizarre way that the land has been divvied up since like medieval ages, and so they're going to try to see if they can maybe fix that. But West is going to start going out without Phoebe so he can talk candidly with people about what's going on her estate. So that'll be good. Now, vast majority of this segment was loving my heavens. She shaves him and it is extremely intimate, and she's wearing nothing but underwear. And she is able to tell that he is excited by this while she's shaving him. And then they proceed to have lots and lots of love. And it is very good, very well written. And yeah, like I said, almost melted my phone. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. He's just great with her kids again. She feels so safe with him. But, you know, even before they have their first session of lovemaking, he says, you know this is never going to go anywhere, right? And she goes, yes. But as long as you're at the Clare estate, you're mine. So they're just doing what they can when they can, I suppose. But we'll see what happens in the final segment of this book. Finish the book. Holy cow, what an ending. You know, it's funny, I was going to give this book 4 stars, 4.5 stars, because West kind of irritated me there in the middle. The ending is so good. I think I have to give it a full 5 stars. But I'm giving 5 stars to almost all of these. I feel like I need to be a little more discriminating. Can I say 4.75 stars? Is that splitting hairs? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do that, even though that's maybe a little annoying. Okay, so that's the rating, which I just did, because I couldn't help myself. But let's talk about the ending. Holy cow. So again, super steamy love scenes between West and Phoebe. These guys have chemistry bouncing off the walls. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's really good. I have not read this much steaminess in quite a while from Lisa Kleypas. So very, very steamy. Of course, though, they still feel like they can't be together. Well, she wants to be with him, but he just feels like he's just not good enough for her, and that's just not going to change. So he's just feeling like he has to leave. He's devastated, and he knows the boys are starting to get really attached to him. So he decides to go. Right after he leaves, Edward Larson returns, and they have it out. Oh, and okay, so before Edward Larson returns, Ethan Ransom, my man, comes, and he says, okay, I did some digging, and I found out Edward has a woman on the side, a mistress, and Edward has a son. And so Edward's been taking money from you, Phoebe, and using it to buy a home and a carriage and a horse and servants for his mistress and her son. How about that? So Edward, when he arrives later on, Phoebe confronts him. He doesn't really even feel that bad. He even said that Henry still knew about it and wanted the match. Henry felt like it was okay. And Phoebe's like, you know what? This is ridiculous. It's time for me just to make decisions for myself. Edward doesn't feel badly at all with what he's done because he feels like he's doing what he has to do to keep his place in society because nobody else is going to understand. Doors will be closed to him. His kids aren't going to be able to play with like the high upper crust kids. So he's doing what he has to do. And you know what? He feels like his mistress, made the choices she made, and he's, dealing with it, but he's not going to try to marry her because she's so far beneath him. So Phoebe's like, you know what? You're done. I love how she's actually like, she's pitying him. She's like, Edward, I'm just not going to marry you. And he believes, of course, that West has poisoned her against him. Meanwhile, speaking of poisoning, West is poisoning himself. He's pickling himself, drinking quite a bit, and he's back with his old good buddy, Tom Severin, who is I guess he's like a frenemy, really. Let's call it that. He's the best frenemy a person can have. And they end up at Jenner's. That's right, Gabriel's club, but mainly still Sebastian's club, although Sebastian isn't there all the time now. And who happens to be there that night but Sebastian? And a good thing too, because as West and Tom are talking at one of the quiet booths, and West is just talking about how much he's miserable because he can never be with Phoebe. He just is unmoored. He doesn't know what to do with his life anymore. Tom's just trying to give him some advice when all of a sudden somebody comes up with a gun, and of course it's Edward Larson. He is so upset. And Tom and West both are drunk, and also, they're so sardonic. They don't really even care. And Tom's like, oh, be careful. Don't accidentally shoot me. Who are you even here to shoot? And I mean, it's pretty hilarious, honestly. But then Sebastian steps in right after Edward cocks the gun because West tells him how to do it. And Sebastian's like, you know what? I wasted an hour and a half talking to you. Please go. This was a waste. I'm going to put you in jail and figure out what to do with you tomorrow. So Sebastian just acts like everybody else are just children, and he's just managing everyone, and he's, Mr. Cool as a cucumber. But he saves the day, and he lets West sleep it off in the club overnight, and the following day, Sebastian talks to West, and he says, look, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say that you're not good enough for her, and of course you're not. But men like you and me, we just get lucky, and we get women that are way better than us, and we have to hold on to that. And I know you'll be a good father. I know you'll be a good husband. You have my blessing. Not only that, does he make sure that Phoebe arrives? Yes, he does. So she comes into the club, and West basically gets down on his knees. I don't know, he doesn't actually. But he's just saying, I need you. I love you. I have to be with you. But I promised you I would never propose, so I'm gonna need you to propose to me. Please propose to me because I can't live without you. And so Phoebe proposes to him. I just love it. It's so funny. Even the last line, it's something like, he goes, we have to get married before another man who's better than me comes and gets you. She goes, well, then we better hurry up because we never know when he's going to show up or something like that. It was so cute and hilarious. And I just enjoyed this book so much. It was just so much fun. West is just the best guy. And, anything he did that was a little bit underhanded comes from a place of feeling unloved and feeling like he has no place. And, that's all being rectified now with Phoebe. So I'm just so happy for them. I really, really am. And the song, by the way, that I think that we should have for them is Edge of Desire by John Mayer, because man, does West desire her, but he doesn't feel like he can have her. So I felt like that was a good, relaxing song to choose. All right, so that is the end of that one. And next week, we're going to be starting Chasing Cassandra. There are only 2 books left. Can you believe that? I cannot believe it. So anyway, yeah, we will continue next week. I can't wait for you to join me in my summer of Lisa Kleypas challenge, even though it's officially fall now. I mean, I got the leaves and the pollens going, so I didn't plan this title of my vlog very well. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is that you're reading. And until next time, thank you so much. Take care. Bye.